going on out there, everyone? It's your boy Mike Ryder, Mr. Accountability, the man behind the microphone. You were tuned in to another edition of Mike Ryder Talks. I got a special guest on the line with me tonight. I got a special show lined up for you guys tonight. But before we get into that, let me get into this. Y'all know I got to get into my sponsor. Where we at? Where we at? If you're like me, you have problems sleeping at night. You have problems with your mind racing. You're always thinking. Your mind is constantly rotating. You don't try the Z-Quil. You don't try the NyQuil. You don't try all the melatonin that your pocket can buy and that your body can withstand. After a while, that stuff start wearing off. So me, what I did, I met a young man named Andres Cook here in Macon, Georgia, and he has a company called The Cook Shop. Now, what they do, they have natural, handmade products that help you with relaxation. Things like their salve. Let me make that a little bigger. Things like their salve, their coffee, their CBD oil, and my personal favorite, the hibiscus tea. With that hibiscus tea, let me tell you about that. What you do, just like any other cup of tea, you boil you some water, let that thing come to a boil, pour it in a teacup, glass, whatever you're going to pour it in, put you a tea bag in there, let that thing steep for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it's on. Voila. You drink that before bed, and I promise you, you will have a great night's rest. You will sleep like a baby. The Cook Shop is located here in Macon, Georgia. So yes, they are locally owned. You see it in the ticker at the bottom of the screen for the location, 600 Guy Payne Road, Building 2. That's at Spark Macon. You see the website. If you're national, you're international, you can order from their website, thecookshop.com. Like I said, all their information is in the ticker down there. Phone number as well, 478. I ain't even going to call the rest of it out. You see it right there. Now, the good thing about their products, they're running a special. If you order from them, let me pull this up real quick, and you type in Mike as your promo code when you're about to check out, because they're going to ask you for a promo code. You type in Mike will get you 10% off your order. Now, me personally, I'm running a special. If this is your first time buying their products, you want to just try it out just to see how relaxed you can become, you buy one of their products. You put in that promo code Mike. You come back to me, I'll pay for half your order. Now, that's on one item. Don't go over there trying to rack up spending $200-$300. You buy that pack of tea, that pack of tea is $12. That promo code going to get you 10% off. You come holler at Mike, you're going to get 50% off of that. That sounds like a deal to me. You know what I'm saying? Cook Shop, like I said, the website is www.thecookshop.com. It's going to take you straight to it. Voila, we got it. Let me get into my guests. Let me get this off the screen. I got a special show lined up for y'all tonight with a special guest. I got someone who is an author. I got someone who is a motivational person who, you know what I'm saying? They're going to get you amped up. They're going to get you right. Someone who done faced adversity, discrimination in the workplace, and overcame it all. And you know what? Without further ado, let me go ahead and get into my guest. If you would, Miss Genesis, unmute your mic, turn your camera on. Let's get to it.
Hey, Mike, what's up?
What's going on with you, ma'am? How are you doing tonight?
Doing well. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I know we chatted a bit and, more about me and still learning.
Hey, well, that's what we're here to do. We're here to do. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Hey, everyone. My name is Genesis Amaris Kemp. I am the author of Chocolate Drop in Corporate America, From the Pit to the Palace. I released my first edition last year in May, so a little bit before the whole Black Lives Matter movement and during the pandemic. I also released the second edition of my book this February. I am a creative content writer, visionary, motivational speaker, and I am super passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion, where it's not just for Black and Brown people to have their voice heard, but it's about really promoting what is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how we all need to come together collectively to really push the envelope further, because there are so many misnomers that are circling around on what is diversity, what is equity, what is inclusion. Well, we hired the right people, but then you never really see people pulling back the onion layers.
So, you know what? Let's start right there. What is the true meaning of diversity?
So, we're going to start by going over the dictionary's definition, and then I'm going to tell you my view. So, whenever people say, what is diversity? The dictionary says it's a range of different things, including or involving people of different social and ethnic backgrounds, or different genders, sexual orientation, or etc. So the etc. could be multiple things. My view
Mhm.
of diversity is whenever you have people who are not only different by their culture, their background, and etc., but we have diversity in music genres, we have diversity in the foods that we eat, we have diversity whenever we're going through the mall and shopping, because there's multiple stores to choose from, there's various sizes, and etc. Diversity is all around us, but if you just focus on diversity in one aspect, then you miss the bigger picture. Then, when we get into inclusion, the dictionary says it's the action or state of including or being included within a group or structure, providing equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise be included. When I think about inclusivity, I think about making sure people are seen, making sure people are heard, making sure those people feel appreciated, they feel valued, they feel like, hey, I really do matter. Because what's the point of having a diverse population, but then you're not including that diverse group of people? Then
Mhm.
equity, it says,
Hold on. Before we get into that, because look, we're gonna slow it down a little bit with diversity. You have you have ran into some problems at the workplace, which that's why you brought out that book, correct?
correct.
In corporate America, what company, if you can say, did you work in corporate America and they didn't treat you fairly?
I worked for a Fortune 500 oil and gas company here in Texas.
And you said they didn't treat you good. What were some of the things that were going on where they didn't include you, or they overlooked you, or they didn't treat you with equality?
So, one, there was a pay disparity. Two, whenever I started with the company, I did come in at the bottom of the totem pole, despite me having previous oil and gas and energy experience. This Fortune 500 company hired me as an administrative assistant. Once I got my degree, I really had to jump through hoops in order to get to different roles and climb the corporate ladder, when in reality there was someone who was a Caucasian female who went to the same university that I went to. She got her degree in engineering. I got my degree in supply chain. And you see her go from an administrative and technical position right into an engineering role. But then you see me, who is an African American woman, having to jump through hoops. And they're like, well, just because you have your degree now doesn't mean that we're going to automatically put you in a position. But then I had to, pause for a minute, and I'm like, well, when I came to this company, I changed my entire degree plan from a psychology major to supply chain and logistics technology, along with getting double minors in purchasing and organizational leadership and supervision. And the company paid for part of my degree. So I was like, well, if you're going to invest in me as an employee, don't you want to get your ROI, which is a return on investment? And I was like, something is not adding up here. So then you definitely see the unfairness between two individuals, a white woman and a black woman, same university, tier 1 university,
Mhm.
same, about the same GPA or whatnot, because I don't know what her GPA was. in the same administrative and technical pool, and then going up the ranks to want a professional position? Why does one person get it faster than the other if they're the same on paper and they both have different skill sets and experiences? And mind
And you
you,
know, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought. Finish that.
and I
Let's
was
get
going to
to
say,
it.
mind you, before I started working for this Fortune 500 company, I worked for a smaller oil and gas company, a mom and pop that was a British base, for 4.5 years, where I worked my way up from imaging clerk to project coordinator, from project coordinator to HSC assistant. HSC is health, safety, and environmental. And then I
Okay.
became the interim HSC manager. So you see the progression in my career with a smaller company. You see the competency, the skills, and etc. But here, fast forwarding, I go over to a Fortune 500 company. I'm now swimming with the big fish or in the big leagues, but then they don't see my worth. But in the interview, it was a coincidence when they asked me, hey, how do you know about our offshore platforms, our offshore rigs? Well, I was the chick on the other side writing those reports for those big companies.
Correct. Correct. And then you get there and they don't do you right. They let another woman, your counterpart, climb up the ladder past you, but you put in that hard work. They're not acknowledging you. And see, that's something that goes on in the work industry, you know, the workforce, where a person of color, a woman of color, we're going to stick to that because you are the topic. You know what I'm saying? A woman of color goes to school, puts in that work, climbs the ladder. Her counterpart comes in. She looks a certain way. She may look the part, as they like to say. They bump her up. What is something that can be done to change that? What can we do to change the rules of corporate America?
I would definitely say one is we need to strip away the unconscious biases, the preconceived notions and judgment, and we need to stop making it as a good old boy club or a good old girl club. Stop being click based, and when we start recruiting talent, let's go to all universities, whether it's a HBCU or it's a predominantly white college or whatever. Let's recruit from the universities that have the best programs based on the position that we're trying to fill. Let's stop getting people these positions because, oh, this person went to my alma mater, or, oh, she's an AKA Pearls and Chucks, we're going to hire her. Or, oh man, he's an Aggie. What? Whoop! Like all those stuffs. And then, yes, I know networking is key, but is that person the best candidate for that position at the time? Or do you have an internal candidate that you have passed up by the wayside to hire this friend over here? Then you get your friend in here and see that that friend is not competent enough to do the job. And then the same person you passed up, you expect that person to train your friend, which is like a slap in
Right.
the face for that person. Because there's been
It
numerous
is.
times, I mean, you're vibing with me, Mike. There's been
Yeah,
numerous
yeah,
times
yeah.
where I was like, I applied for that role. You said, oh, I'm sorry, you're overqualified, or I'm sorry, you're unqualified, or I'm sorry, you're not due for a promotion right now, or you're not. But then you look at the person that they get in that role, and we're
They
human.
listen. The person they put in that role typically only lasts a couple months. And I don't mean to cut you off, but my man just made a very valid point. He said we have to create our incorporation. I guess he meant to say our own. We have to recreate our own world. I guess autocorrect got him, and it got me too. Right. He said, how do you remove unconscious biasness? Those are great points. I'm gonna start with Derek. He said we
Okay.
have to create our own corporations. We have to recreate our own world. Which, here's the thing about that. I know you're speaking on just Black America. We are very divided. The media has us divided. The workforce has us divided with situations like this because you have people at work who act a certain way. We don't have to go in on that because that's not what this show is about. But we're divided as a people.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about it, Derek, we do need to recreate our own world, but it can't just be us.
Mm-hmm.
It can't just be us because this planet is filled with more than just one race. And that's what they need to understand as well. The people over corporate America. It's not just them.
Mhm.
You have to rely on us. We have to rely on you. We all need each other. There has to be a way. Let me get that out there before it goes away. There has to be a way to include everyone without overlooking everyone, without treating people unfair and coming off with blatant biasness. There has to be a way.
Yeah, I would definitely add, how can we come together as a African American race whenever colorism is dividing us? So if we think that it's okay to do it within our own race, what do you think someone from the outside looking in is projecting on us? If we can't address one another as, brothers and sisters, and we want to say B's, H's, and call people Uncle Tom's or whatever, because you can't help the product of the environment you grow into, but you could change your learned behavior. And I feel like I have been in a position where I have faced colorism working for this Fortune 500 company from people that look like you and I, Mike. And it's not cool because you see, yes, I see they're climbing the corporate ladder, but my methodology is if you see somebody that's doing good, why can't you reach out your hand to help that person? Don't just think that, oh, well, if I help this person, maybe they're going to pass me up or whatever. That's such narrow minded thinking, because I always tell people we should look for ways to build partnerships and complement one another versus being in competition with each other.
Yeah. And you know what? That is important. Building a partnership. If you can build a partnership with someone or a group of people, that will really, really, really help things out, because we're really not in competition. If we're talking about money, there's enough money for everyone. If we're talking about land, there's enough land for everyone. We're talking about houses and cars, there's enough houses and cars for everyone. I'm gonna address Derek one more time because he just put in another hot one. He said, "Well, I agree, but I also see it as how they do it. Who's the most important?" And you know what?
Hmm.
That's where they got it messed up at, because they see one group of people as more important than the next. You're more important because of your status. You're more important because of your skin color. We're all people who are supposed to be created equally,
Yeah.
you know, um, from, you know, we're supposed to be created in his image. I kind of got I seen that comment, it kind of threw me off, but we're supposed to be created in his image. We're all supposed to be created equal. Now, you may have more money in the bank than I do.
Hmm.
You may come from a different bloodline than I do, but at the end of the day, man, we're all gonna leave here the same way, and we all came here the same way.
Hmm.
So we have to get past this. And I know I'm going on. I know I'm preaching. Y'all don't unlock. Listen, you know how you play 2K, Super Mario, whatever you play, and you unlock a character? This preacher mic. Okay, so instead of us starting over, we can't start over. Look at all these structures on the ground. We can't knock them all down. We can't start all the way over. What we need to do, start at the root of the problem. Y'all already said we're divided. As people, we're divided. We've already agreed on that. Let's start at the root of the problem. Let's fix the division within ourselves. Start respecting one another, and then they will start respecting us. And our counterparts will start treating us with respect because we respect one another and we demand respect. Now, let me go back to show host Mike. Genesis. hold on, because my man right here got another one. He said, yes, there's enough room at the
Woo!
table for everyone to eat. It is. It is. And shout out to Savage. Shout out to my man Vandross on YouTube. Yes, there is enough room.
Thank you
It's
for
enough.
my.
Listen. Hmm?
I was like, thanks to all my peeps that are tuning in. Dietrich,
Oh,
Haley, Chase,
look, they come
Jesse.
in. They come in. So let's go ahead and do a little fast forwarding.
Hmm.
When you overcame that adversity, them looking over you, them not treating you right, what was your next step? Did you say, okay, I don't need y'all? What did you do after they slapped you in the face with that biasness?
No, what I did was I was like, okay, in order to be successful and thrive in a male dominated field where I'm already a minority, you kind of have to get in the head of your opponents, know your opponents, and kind of stroke their ego in order for you to get something. Because at that point, okay, that's my bread and my butter. I didn't have like a formulated contingency plan just yet. And I also didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket. So I had to be strategic with my moves. So, one thing my dad always taught me is be as wise as the serpent, but harmless as the dove. So, one thing I was like, okay, this company needs me to do a job, but I also need this company because one, it's going to look great on my resume because I'll be branded by association because people already say, "Oh, I want to work for this great company that you're at." And then so one of the tips I did was while I was in the administrative role, still fighting to get to my next level, I was networking and I started to network internally in the company as well as externally. And by networking internally, I was like, okay, um, let me see how I can maybe shadow people from other departments and learn their roles and etc. And if they see that I'm willing to, go outside of my comfort zone, outside of my box, but then I'm also kind of challenging the status quo to say, this is what you see, but this is what I see for me, then it kind of ruffles feathers a little bit. But then they can't say that, hey, she's taking on work from other groups because it's like a step out activity, right? Then another thing I started to do is this company that I was working with partnered with nonprofit agencies and etc. So the days that they would do community service and stuff like that, I was like, well, let me go do this community service. One, because I love giving back to my community. But whenever you do those activities, you meet some of your same coworkers outside of the job. So you engage in other conversations. You learn a little bit more maybe about their personal life, their family, what are they interested in, and etc. And that is a way for you to connect with people. And people want to do business with people they trust and like, and people who they feel are genuine. So when I started connecting with people genuinely as Genesis and etc., you started to see how things kind of started to turn in the background. I didn't know what those connections were going to turn into, but I knew that those people started to like me and I started to like them. Fast forwarding, one of the ladies that I met at a community service ended up retiring, and she put my name in the slot for her position. That was the first role that I got as a raw material coordinator for polypropylene. Polypropylene is a form of plastics. The one thing I didn't know anything about running grade wheels. I didn't know anything about, running a chemical plant or anything. And with my specific role, I ordered all the raw material components that went into making polypropylene. And the one thing you don't want to do is shut down a Fortune 500 chemical plant. That is a big no-no. So I was like, oh crap, the stuff is getting real. But you know what? I prayed about it and I said, okay, Lord, if this is your will, let it be done and give me enough wisdom to do this job successfully. The only thing is when I went into that role, not only did I have a longer commute, but I went into that role, I had the glorified title, but there was no respect on my check, meaning they didn't pay me for what that role was supposed to be paying. So
Gotcha.
then you see the pay disparity there. And then
Mhm.
getting into that role, I'm the youngest woman. The first day of work, I dressed to the T because I've never worked in the chemical plant. So I thought I wear, my corporate clothes that I wore when working at headquarters. Then you see, I run into a female boss who was a foreigner. She was Polish, but she was not the nicest person. And she didn't even get to know me. She just had a wall up. So then you see how,
She was all business.
yeah, she was all business, but then she was also, I felt like she was UP, and to me UP is undercover prejudice because the way that she interacted with all black people was just not right. And you can't talk to people any kind of way because at the end of the day we're in a professional setting, and don't talk to me as if I'm a child. If I respect you, I expect you to pay me the same respect in return. So
Gotcha.
kind of got off on a rocky start there. Then here I am trying to battle for my pay because I was spending more money going to work than I was making, because I was commuting an hour and a half to 2 hours one way, then an hour and a half to 2 hours another way. Paying tolls, I was paying $14 a day round trip, going to work, a wear and tear on my car, time I'm not going to get back commuting. And during that time, I got engaged. So I left that role. What was it? 11 months. I stayed 11 months because when she left, she went on a leave, and then I got a new boss, which he was very easy to talk to. We kind of stripped away the unconscious biases. I was like, I'm Genesis. This is a little bit about my background. He shared his background, and you kind of see how things kind of start to unfold, because one, he wasn't from Texas, so he wasn't from a red state, and you could kind of see that he was very open-minded. And I think it had a lot to do with, the product of his environment, how he was raised, and where he went to school, which worked in my favor, because he pretty much had told me, if I would have listened to the feedback that she told me about you, your ranking would have dropped severely.
Come on now.
So I was like, okay. And all I could say was, but God, because when God is in the midst, no weapons formed or fashioned against you shall prosper. What God has ordained for you, nobody could take that away. I didn't know why I was going through that season, but there was a lesson and there was a reason that I had to go through that. And it, helped.
And I think you're about to go where I'm about to ask you. What was that lesson? Do you feel like you pulled from that?
I learned that sometimes you have to humble yourself, and sometimes God will send you to various tests, and you will go through various trials and tribulations in order for you to kind of be pruned. And whenever I was being pruned, I was really working on my attitude, because I could have went back to Genesis BC. I could have went from 0 to 100 real quick. But then I didn't want that label as angry Black woman or whatever the case was. But I also wasn't going to allow them to demean me of my morals, my values, and my characteristics to appease them, because I'm not a puppet. So I definitely had to learn how to balance myself during that season. I learned my 3 R's, which are refocus, realign, and refuel. So normally they're in refuel, refocus, and realign. That's the order I put it in. And I kind of had to learn how to be grounded with me and not take everything so personally, even though it felt like when I had the female boss, her and I were, going at it. And I felt like, okay, it's not me that she's angry with. It's the spirit that's behind me or in me, because I bring the light. I say good morning to people.
See, I'm glad you said that, because I was just telling my friend like last week, when you have a good spirit and you come around like evil people or people who don't mean any good, they subconsciously will not like you or will not like your spirit. They don't even know why. It's just that evil within them can't like the light that shines within you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like a spirit of discernment, but it's not for the good side, it's for the bad side. So, usually you meet a nice person, they'll say, oh, I just like your spirit. You have a good spirit about yourself. God told me things about you, such and such, good things. But on that other side, with that evil person or that not so good person, their evil spirit is like, nah, we don't need to rock with that person because they're no good. But in reality, you are good. You are the light. You are a representation of everything that's good that they don't like. And it doesn't sit good with their evil spirit. And my man just said it the best, without rambling, without the whole speech. Demons hate light. Point blank, period. Thank you for that too. You got your 3 R's. You got up out of there. You wrote a book about your experience. Let's talk about your book.
Yeah, so Chocolate Drop in Corporate America, From the Pit to the Palace. I guess let me unfold the cover, because the cover is very intentional. So I guess I'll start by asking you a question, Mike. When you look at the cover of the book, what jumps out at you?
Well, the first thing that I see is there are only 2 people of color. There is a Black lady in the front. I'm guessing that represents you. there is a black guy in the back. I'm pretty sure that guy behind the main person, I'm pretty sure he's like the boss. The white guy with the bald head, I'm pretty sure that's the boss.
With the
But
plans.
it's yep. But you have mostly, and it's no offense, you have mostly white people. I see one Asian person. So it's not a lot of diversity right there.
Hmm.
That's pretty much like how most corporate jobs look. You have this two handfuls of white people, one black person, two black people, maybe, an Asian person, maybe, and he's there just for the aesthetics. You know what I'm saying? But tell me about the cover. Let's go ahead and get into it. Is that intentional? And what's the
Yeah.
reason behind it?
Can you make the cover a little bit bigger? Because I really
Yeah, I'll
want.
go back to it.
Thank you. So, you see, there's a world in the background, number one, because it represents, these issues that we face in America happen worldwide. It's just about us, pulling away unconscious biases and really talking about them and having these transparent conversations. Then, yes, the cover of the book, there is two African American people, an Asian. I couldn't find a Hispanic person whenever I was doing the book, but it just goes to show you that sometimes corporations take inclusion, diversity, and equity to the point where, it's like a check the box syndrome where we're going to hire these token people to show our shareholders that we're inclusive, we're diverse, and we have equity. But whenever you get in a boardroom or you see the leadership, you don't see anyone of minority status in the board. You see older Caucasian males, and you may see maybe one white woman or whatever. Then you see here in the picture, there's various people from different professions. There's a construction worker, the lady in the front, the chocolate drop in the front. She may be a business planner. You see someone in the medical field. You also see just various people, which means inclusion and diversity. It starts with all of us coming together, sharing our assets, sharing space with one another, learning and growing together, because we can't do it by our own. Even though you and I, Mike, are chocolate drops, we still need allies, because if we're going up to a corporation, we need somebody that could speak the lingo. And sometimes people want to do business with people they feel comfortable with, people that resemble them, or etc.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but some people are creatures of habit.
No, that's relatability. Most people do business with people who they relate to. Even outside of business, most people gravitate to people who they relate to, whether they look like you, whether they listen to the same music as you, they talk like you, whether it's just relatability. That is what we go after.
Yes. And it makes them feel comfortable no matter what race you are. And I guess the name, let's unpack the name, Chocolate Drop in Corporate America, because I've had people tell me, oh, that's offensive, that's controversial. And I said I did it that way on purpose. I could have said Hershey Kiss, but I didn't want to get sued by the Hershey company. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be that chocolate drop, and I work in corporate America. So Chocolate Drop in corporate America. And I said the reason why I did it that way is for an intentional purpose, because when people see that book cover, I want them to double back and say, well, the name says Chocolate Drop in corporate America, but the title is, it's different. But look at the cover. There's different people. I could see a representation of me. And that's to really show that that inclusivity, the diversity, and the equity. And then from the pit to the palace, that's more spiritual based. Sometimes we go through dark seasons in our life, but it's not always going to stay dark. It's not
Mm.
permanent, it's temporary. But once we go through the pit, we're going to appreciate the palace, because we gain something from that dark season, whether it's depression, whether it's discrimination, ageism, sexism, a divorce, a breakup, whatever trial and tribulation that you endured in your life. Sit back and think about the lesson that you got out of it. And that experience that you went through, it didn't break you. That's why it's called breakthrough. You broke a little bit, maybe mentally, physically, and emotionally, but you made it through. And when you're going through the fire, you weren't consumed. You were being refined like a diamond, refined like a fine gem. So you try to flip your perspective. And when you flip your perspective, then you start to see things in a different light. And then the light represents the palace, it represents success. And success for Mike is different than success for Genesis, because we are two different people. We're brother and sister in Christ, and we may share the same commonalities, but his success may be being a famous podcaster or whatever. My success may be, having healthy children, having a thriving marriage, really showcasing what a true Black marriage is like, because you see a lot of Black men who are incarcerated, and then you see mothers raising their children without a father, and then you see the media saying, oh, well, see, that's the problem right there. There's not enough Black men. But how can there be enough Black men whenever our Black men are getting gunned down for no apparent reason? They're getting falsely persecuted. They're thrown in prison for, minor drug charges or whatever the case may be. But then you wonder why those men are absent from the homes. There's so much things that go into it. And I was like, okay, I'm taking those incidents and I'm pairing them in a work setting, but also including my faith in the book, including how whenever you rise above, limitations, you break down barriers, you do it for yourself, because the seeds that you plant today are securing yourself for a harvest and a better and brighter future. You may not see the fruits of your labor in your lifetime, but it will be evident generations to come, whether it's in your children, your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren, whatever the case may be. Don't stop being who you are because somebody tells you what you aren't.
That's powerful. To me, thinking like that, overcoming adversity, delivering it in a package of a book in your everyday life, very, very, very powerful, man. Shout out to you. I want to get into this. One of my first guests, I should say. He's not an old guest. He's because he's coming back. This dude named Wolf. He's a rapper around here in Macon. He sets trends, he makes movements, him and his whole team. And you did something similar to what he did. When he comes out with material, CDs, shirts, or whatever, and people buy his things, he'll get them to take pictures of it. And you did the same thing with your book. Put it all over social media. This creates a movement. This is branding. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a part of branding. If you have anything that you're selling, if you can get it to your people, hold on. I want to interrupt this real quick because my sister, she said this is powerful. I supposed to did something, but I didn't know if you were on or not. Happy birthday to my niece, her daughter. She turned 13 today. Shout out to Tootie. That's one of my favorite girls. Yes. I'm glad you popped up though. But look, if you are selling,
sorry, my bad.
No, you good. You good, baby. You selling anything. You could be selling shirts. You could be selling ice cream from the ice cream truck. You can be selling blood pressure monitors. If you sell it to your customer, get them to take a picture with your item. This will invoke more people to go buy your item. This is another way of relatability. You know what I'm saying? Oh, if I see, let's say this is my sister here. That isn't, but let's just say it is. Mm-hmm. I just saw my sister buy that book. She looks happy with that book. Let me go buy that book. I see this couple with this book. Now, my man doesn't look like he smiles much, but the young lady is smiling. Okay, I'm not going to smile, but me and my wife, we can get this book. We can enjoy this book together. We can grow together with this book. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic. What made you want to get your customers or your people to show proof that they got this book?
The reason why I did that is because I believe feedback is a gift. And since, I'm a 2-time author, when I first put the book out in May last year, I really wanted to see how people, not just of color, but other people were relating to the story, despite take the color aside, but really get into the story and see how it resonates with them. Because no matter what, we have all been through a workplace challenge that has been unfair. We have all faced discrimination, whether it was from sexism, ageism, or just flat out, racism. Everyone has experienced that once in their life. Another thing I wanted people to see that we're buying the book is it's not just about Genesis, it's about the impact and the movement that I am creating to help other people. Because yes, this is my story, but I also want to encourage people to be bold, be courageous, and share their story, because each one of us that is tuned into this live now has a story to share. Whether you were a victim of bullying, whether you went through a divorce, whether you are married and maybe your marriage is rocky, whether you were in a toxic situation, life happens and that's okay. But how are you going to react to what has happened to you? Are you going to be proactive or are you going to react? Are you going to be negative or are you going to be positive? Or are you going to flip the script and just get out there and get this money? Yes, money is not always the answer to happiness, but we need money in this world because it makes things go around and it gets us the things that we want and need. Because if you want to grow your business, have you heard that they say it takes money to make money?
Yeah.
Then you also want to be mindful. Yes, you could be in the E bucket, which is the employee bucket. But what happens if that company closes down? What is your plan B? You could be an employee now, but make sure you have some residual income on the side. Make sure you're moving into another vehicle, whether you're selling tea cakes, hot cakes, popsicles, Kool-Aid, pickles, whatever, a book, makeup, whatever, your services, do that on the side. Don't put all your eggs in this employer's bucket, because if something happens to Mike or Genesis, you best believe tomorrow there's going to be another person in your slot. They're not going to care about you. And it's sad to say companies are not as loyal as they used to be. And it's very sad, because I've seen that going from a small mom and pop company who felt very family oriented. The only reason why I left is because I reached that glass ceiling where I was capped out and I wanted to really expand. And I'm young. I'm under 30 years old. So I had goals in mind for myself that I wanted to attain. And if I would have stayed at that company, I wouldn't have reached all my goals. But, looking at what has happened in and throughout my life, I'm so thankful and appreciate that God allowed it to happen to me and for me. And that's important, because sometimes things happen to you, and it may not necessarily be for you, but sometimes things happen to you that are for you to learn and grow, so you can go back out there and reciprocate to somebody else.
Amen to that. And look, I want to touch on something you just said before I move on to my next segment. You said something about them replacing you.
Mm-hmm.
These jobs will. Another thing I was talking to my friend about the other day. These jobs are temporary. I don't care how long you've been there. If they find you as a liability, they're going to cut ties with you. If they figure a way to save money and still get the same productivity without you, you're out of there. No ifs, ands, or buts. You are gone. So the smart thing to do, as you can see millions and millions of people doing these days, start a small business. Mm-hmm. Find you other ways of income, some passive income, which that's something I've been trying to get together for a minute, like just trying to figure it out, like different streams of income without working so hard. Because just like you, I'm a young man. I don't want to work until I'm 50. I don't want to work until I'm 60. Or I do know that I'm probably going to have to work until I'm 50, but not work hard. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be out here. I want to work smart. I want to work from home, in my bed, on vacation, on the island somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Celebrating. Okay, I just got this notification on my phone. I need to push this package through to such and such. But let me get to this too. She said, always have a backup plan. This pandemic should be a lesson how quickly things can change. Yes. So I don't want to work hard until I'm 50. I don't want to have another pandemic situation to come through and I can't work at all. Now the lights are off. Mm-hmm. We need to set ourselves up for success. Don't think just because you got hired at this oil plant, not naming you, I'm just using your situation as an example. Don't think just because you got hired at this big time oil plant, this Fortune 500 company, that everything's all gravy. Because one day they may need you. The next day they may see that they don't need you and you're out of there. You're out of there.
And that's so true. And that's how it happens. And even if they do push you out and you get a severance package, be smart with your money and flip that money. Yes, save and use some of that money to pay your bills, but see what other resources are out there. Like one thing you mentioned, Mike, you don't want to work till you're 50 or 60. And I guess to clarify that, the way I took it is you don't want to work building someone else's empire and legacy when you could be doing the same work for yourself and building Mike as a brand and building generational wealth for your family as well as building your legacy. Because the one thing I tell people is there are so many dreams in the graveyard. When I say that, what do
Mm.
you think of?
When you say that, I think of people who have died and didn't live out their own dreams.
Exactly. And so I try to tell people, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of what somebody is going to say of you? Are you afraid of how people are going to perceive you? Are you afraid of failing? What is your fear? What is that false evidence appearing real that's causing you to remain stagnant, that's causing you to shrink back whenever you know that God has put talents and gifts inside of you? And you want to make sure that you get your glory while you're here on this earth. You don't want to allow your limited mindset, fear, or what other people say about you to cause you to be a recluse and pass away. And then people say, man, she was really good at this. I would have loved to see her do that. Do it for yourself and not for other people. Be who you want to be and not what people want you to be.
That's fire. That's fire. Let me get into this. You may not know this. People who are watching this, some of y'all may know this, some of y'all may not. I like to play games with my guests.
Oh, shit.
Genesis, you are no exception to the rule. I have a game for you. Matter of fact, let me get into my whole thing. Genesis, I would like to play a game.
Ooh.
And the game that I have for you is called Rapid Fire. I'm going to hold on, y'all. Hold on. Okay. The game that I have for you is called Rapid Fire. And what's going to happen is I'm going to put a timer on the screen,
Hold on, let
on
me
that
get ready.
screen that I just,
Check
that
it out,
screen
check
that
it
I
out.
just enlarged. I'm going to put a clock on there. I'm going to throw some words out there for you. So the first thing that comes to mind when I throw that word at you is word association.
Let me get a
So
sip of water, y'all.
yeah, drink the water. Get right.
I'm playing a win, y'all. I'm playing a win. I'm competitive.
Here go the thing. There are no right or wrong answers. There's no prize at the end of the game. Whoop-de-doo once you make it to the end of the clock. But we're just doing this for fun, just a little brain exercise. Like I said, when I throw a word out there to you, the first thing that comes to mind, you answer that. That's your answer. Um, Let me get my clock going. Matter of fact, let me turn that off real quick. Take me off of there. Let me make sure my clock is ready. It is.
Get ready, get ready, get ready.
You're gonna have 60 seconds on the clock. When you answer my first question, the clock is gonna start. When that clock ends, the game is over. We're gonna walk away from it. Let me get this going. You ready? I'm
I'm ready.
gonna start you off with this. Life,
Everlasting.
family,
Bonding.
love,
Eternal.
success,
Glory.
Genesis,
The beginning.
the Bible,
Powerful.
Christ,
Ooh, this is a good one. My everything.
money,
Green.
the future,
Brighter.
failure,
Learning.
5 years from now,
A number.
Another book.
Stories.
Who am I?
Genesis.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Hey, let's get it. She stomped that, y'all. Let me get that out of there. You know what? I
Oh.
don't know if y'all can see my head done been shiny this whole time, but I'm sweating even more. This is the first time I put that minute clock on there, and you killed it. I want to get into this real quick. This is something special that I do because we're about to wrap this thing up here shortly. Let me make this big again. It's not a game. This is a raffle. I'm black. I like to eat. I'm greedy.
Ooh,
So
me
what I
too.
did, I teamed up with a company. Yes, I know. I teamed up with a company called Chat's Cheesecake, and we're doing a raffle. Now, the rules for the raffle are right here. Let me enlarge that a little better.
Let
The
me see.
rules of the raffle, it's a $5 entry. You can enter as many times as you like. You can enter via Cash App. You would Cash App me. The winner will be announced next Thursday. The last day to enter is next Wednesday, the 31st. So, like I said, next Thursday's show, live on the show, I'm going to do a random drawing. The winner will be announced. You'll get a chance to win something like this.
Ooh,
That
Jesus,
banana
that
pudding
looks
cheesecake. I know this blueberry marble cheesecake with the lemon crust, this sweet potato cheesecake, this Oreo cheesecake, strawberry cheesecake. And you can do so, like I said, it's more of a local thing because you stay in Texas. So you can look all you want.
What?
I mean, this is a local company. I don't know how we would get you a cheesecake over in Texas. Now, if you want to donate, like I said, the entry, you would cash out me, $ Mike Ryder. It's a $5 entry. You can enter as many times as you like. The last day to enter is next Wednesday. The winner will be randomly drawn next Thursday and announced on my show next Thursday. And you will get an 8-ounce, not 8-ounce, 8-inch. Sorry. Hey, listen, I'm thinking about ounces
I'm
and
like, what?
pounds. You're going to get an 8-inch cheesecake of your choice. They got more cheesecakes than this, but these are just the ones that I got the photos of in my reel. And let me
Ooh,
get that off the
Jesus.
screen because I done got hungry. Thank you, Chat's Cheesecake. I got some names in the drawing. I got some people in the drawing. They will
I,
be announced soon. What were you about to say?
I feel discriminated on just talking about cheesecakes because you can't
Hey,
even. Hey, you know what you can do? You could freeze the cheesecake. You could put it in an overnight and have it mailed to me if
for
I
some
win.
reason, I still feel like about 2 hours into the delivery, that thing is gonna melt and it's gonna be graham crackers and stuff everywhere.
Oh no, I just kidding. All joking aside, I'll get with
But
you offline.
yeah, and listen, I just show it. Like I said, y'all can get in if you want to. This is for my local people. If you want to just donate to the show, like I said, the Cash App is always open. You can see it at the bottom right of the screen. It's cash $MikeRyder. That's Mike Ryder. Genesis, before we get out of here, is there any closing remarks you want to leave with the audience?
Yes, I just definitely want to thank all my supporters who have been riding with me on this journey, that have tuned into this live, carved out some time out of their busy schedule to see me. I definitely want to speak two quotes to y'all so I won't leave y'all empty handed. So, one quote from my book is: stop waiting for someone to co sign your dreams. Start running with passion in time. The right people who genuinely care and want to support you will fall into place. And the reason why I picked that for our audience tonight is I want to let each one of you know, stop waiting for somebody to validate who you are. Stop waiting for somebody to approve you. You're already approved by the Almighty God. You already have the necessary tools and resources that you need to be successful. You just need to start taking action today to secure a better future. And don't be afraid to fail, but fail fast. Because whenever you fail fast, you're going to learn. You're going to learn. This is something that is a journey. a marathon, not a sprint. So in life, there's always going to be ups and downs, but it is what you make it. And when we stop giving people power over us, then we really start to be all who we were created to be. The other quote is, if you have a dream and vision to achieve something, then you have the power to do it. Keep the determination and continue to run your race. You may fall or even fail, but that doesn't mean you can't achieve greatness. Get back up and press forward. We're all wonderfully created. We're all powerful people who the world needs. So just let your light shine bright. And whoever doesn't need to be a part of your circle or your tribe, that's okay, because you don't need to confuse seasonal people in your life for lifetime people. And not everyone can be with you on the lifelong journey.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Like I said, it's your boy Mike Ryder, Mr. Accountability. She said she'll eat the cake for her. My man say mail her a gosh darn cheesecake. Don't beat me up. I'm just the host. I'm also just the messenger. I don't make the cheesecakes. They're not here at the house with me. However, this has been a great edition of Mike Ryder Talk. She killed the game. She killed the show. We killed the show. I thank y'all for tuning in. Subscribe to me on YouTube, Twitch. Like the page on Facebook. It's all Mike Ryder Talks. I'm about to get out of here like I do at the end of each and every show. Y'all don't leave, but at the end of each and every show, you see the ticker at the bottom of the screen. Until we meet again, be blessed. I love y'all. And I'm not out yet. Let's do this moment of silence real quick. I'm out.